Hey team, my cousin is getting married in a few days and I do have things that I can wear to her wedding, but I do not really feel like wearing those things right this moment. So I'm going to try and make something new in a very short period of time, just to have a play and an experiment and have a good old fashioned time. A good old fashioned time. The dress code for the wedding is light colors, pastel colors, fun colors. So I'm going to try and combine all three vibes, light, pastel, fun, and make some sort of lilac tulle overlay that sits on top of a cotton sateen base. Is it fully designed in my head at this very minute? No, that's okay, we're gonna figure it out. Let me show you my inspiration points. I love a sheer overlay moment and I have a lot of them saved on my Pinterest. These are some of my favorite ones and a lot of them have some design features in common, like a more fitted bodice, maybe it has like a puffed sleeve or a little frilly sleeve, a frilly collar, and then a lot of them sort of splay out from the waist. They fit there and then they just go whoop into a nice full skirt. I love this sort of design. It just feels really light, airy, fairy, feminine, easy, breezy, cover girl vibes. So that's sort of what I'm going for. My all-time inspirational picture is actually from a brand called Kamperett. This brand does the most beautiful pieces. They're extremely high-end, the most gorgeous fabrics, silk chiffon, silk organza, silk sateen. They're just like chef's kiss. So I really, really love the way that the seams fit on this particular dress. They just give it such a gorgeous detail. And also my overlocker is currently broken, so I did want to make something that was composed of French seams. So this piece is French seamed and it is serving as my inspiration as I am overlockerless right now. That was a lot of thoughts, but it's sort of just like where I'm headed. I don't know what I'm doing underneath the dress yet. We're just going to focus on the tulle overlay for now, because that feels like the difficult part. So yeah, gotta climb that mountain and then I'll climb another mountain after that first mountain. But I'll be like feeling fueled because of the success of the first mountain, hopefully, if all goes well. That's the plan. Yeah, so let's pattern this piece. I think it's time to make a pattern. It's pattern making time. So do you like my tie, guys? It's got sequins on it. Leave a little comment if you like the tie. Thank you very much. Okay. I've been seriously debating whether I want to make this pattern using just like a flat pattern piece or whether I want to drape on my dress form. But I think I've had some success draping on my dress form recently, so I'm just gonna stick with what I know. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna have a little play around with draping and designing these pattern pieces, and while I do that, I'm so excited to announce the sponsor of today's video, which is Skillshare. I have gotten so caught up in the business of this year, and I have barely touched my beautiful journal. I have been journaling for about 10 years, and this is easily the worst documented year of my life. I've probably done about 5 pages, which is crazy. But I've really been wanting to get back into my journaling practice and feel inspired again in this world. So I've been taking an amazing class on Skillshare all about journaling. It's called Everyday Journaling, 5 Creative Ways to Document Your Life by Abby C. And this class has definitely sparked some interest from me. Abby walks you through everything that you need to keep up your journaling practice, and she also shares some encouraging words about the impact of journaling and why it can be such a beneficial practice. What I really like about this class is that it's divided up into 5 different days. You've got day 1 vision board, day 2 today's top 3, weekly recap, checking in, gratitude, and then she also goes into detail about how you can maintain your journaling habit. For me personally, I find it quite hard to get started with my journaling if I don't have a prompt. So what I love about this class is that there is the 5 days where Abby walks you through not only the journaling prompt, but also exploring some ways that you could lay out your page and talking about some sort of cool details that you can add to make it more colorful and creative and sort of designed. I am so often guilty of just literally putting pen on paper, but it's actually been really enjoyable to work through these classes and try and make my pages more bright and creative and colorful and sort of like an exploration of like an artistic interpretation of my day, you know? Anyway, I started off with doing the vision board. look, it's quite beautiful if I could say so myself. I cut out magazine clippings and a quote, and I just really had some fun with it. And then I was actually having so much fun that I did another day because I couldn't stop myself, and I did the checking in day, which was also delightful. Something that I'm going to take away from this class is that Abby said there's 2 great things to remember when you're journaling. You can do reflection or you can do reporting. So if you don't know what to write, you can either reflect on your day or you can just give the stone cold hard facts. I did this and I went there. I wrote that down because I knew that would help me in the future. Anyway, I found this class to be incredibly valuable. I think you would too. And to be honest, I've taken a lot of classes on Skillshare and I am always amazed by the high quality standard of the classes and how exciting it is to learn all sorts of interesting things from amazing creatives. Skillshare has so many creative classes taught by amazing world-class creatives like professional illustrators, renowned graphic designers, and successful entrepreneurs. The platform is designed to help you build creativity into your life by learning directly from real, super talented and successful creatives. There's such a wide scope of classes that you can take on Skillshare, so there truly is going to be something that interests everyone. And yes, there are a lot of sewing classes, just in case you're interested, because I am too. If you're a creative human, which I know that you are, I highly recommend checking out Skillshare. And I've got a good deal for you too. The first 500 people to click the link in the description box of this video or scan this QR code will receive 1 month free of Skillshare and 20% off your first payment. So jump on it and get started today. And thank you so much to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. So we're gonna do a nice high neck. Wait, why didn't I just use one? No, I only need to pattern half, and I always forget that. Okay, so we're just gonna pattern half, because I'm being super duper smart. Yeah, that seems good. And then this as well can be gorgeous. Now, I think I'll probably just drape until about here. My waistline is a bit higher than this, so that's actually quite high, isn't it? Let's go like this. Okay, I'll drape until here and then I think I'll figure it out after that. They sort of do it like this. Oh, what is going on here? I quite enjoy working with my dress form. It's quite validating because in theory, if it fits her, it should fit me. And once I started trusting that logic, it kind of opened up some new pathways for me in terms of designing. Most critical thing ever when you're draping a multiple piece pattern on your dress form, mark your pattern pieces. You can never have too many notes or markings because you think, oh, I'll remember which way that faces. No, you won't. You won't remember. So here are my pattern pieces all lined up. I've got 5 for the front and 5 for the back. So that's a great starting place with my pattern pieces. Now I need to make them complete. To do that, I need to do some adjustments and then I can add the skirt portion onto the pattern pieces. Firstly, I'm going to add a little bit more length to the waistline, probably just like 1 inch. I think I made it too short. Secondly, the Kamperett dress has what they are calling a dolman sleeve. And a dolman sleeve is basically where the sleeve sort of is a cap sleeve, but it's actually connected to the bodice pattern piece. It's all just one piece and it sort of just droops over the side of the shoulder. Really beautiful. I don't know how to do it exactly in my mind yet, so I'm not going to bother. I'm just going to do a classic singlet bodice and then add a little ruffly sleeve. So that's the sleeve situation. And the only other thing that's a big question mark in my mind right now is how do I add ease appropriately? This is going to be very, very fitted, the way that I've just drafted it right now. And I would like it to be fitted, have a great line, but still just have a little bit of ease, sort of sit off of the body. So I'm sort of questioning, do I add a little bit of seam allowance to every single seam, or is that just gonna make it so much bigger than it needs to be? Question mark. So I just need to figure out how to do those few adjustments, and then after that, I'm going to add length to every single pattern piece, and after the waistline, it's just gonna splay out into a sort of triangular piece, and that's what's gonna give the skirt the volume. I'm hoping that my mind is correct in what these pattern pieces look like, because it's just kind of a guess. Anyway, let's do this. I just started using my brain, guys. So there's 10 pattern pieces, right? And so if I add, wait, there's 10 per side. So there's 20 pattern pieces. Okay, here we go. 20 pattern pieces. If I add 1/4 of an inch to every single pattern piece, it's 10 inches of ease, because every single pattern piece will have an extra, a 1/2 inch. So 10 inches of ease, which sounds like a lot, but when you put it in the fold, it's only like this much. I'm hopeful that this is going to be a really nice amount of ease, because it's funny, like this is sort of like a great fitting shirt for me, but if you actually are going to calculate the ease on either side of this, it's going to be fairly significant. This is hard. I'm just going to go ahead and transfer all of my pattern pieces onto paper now. And that means that I can go ahead and add my adjustments very easily. So for example, I'm going to add the extra inch where I believe the waist should actually sit. Now what I'm going to do is just go around all of the pattern. No, not up here. We're good up here. Neckline's good. Shoulder is good. What we need to add is 1/2 an inch of ease. No, I'm going to add 1/4 inch of ease around the I guess like the connecting seams, the side seams, if you will. The bodice seams, I don't know what you're going to call these. I think I'll leave the centre back as is and the centre front as is. What will that give me back? 2 inches, it'll be 8 inches of ease. All right, all of my pattern pieces are now cut out. They're only bodice sections at this current moment, but it's okay. Also, did you know that you can iron paper? I don't know if you should iron paper, but you can, and it's remarkably effective. These papers are so curly and coily, but check this out. Look at this. Bam. I'm gonna do this really, really curly one here. Gorgeous. If I had time, the next thing I would do would be to cut out all of those pattern pieces and put the bodice together as a little toile, just to do a fit check. However, I don't have the time nor patience for this part of the process today. So I'm going to just move ahead, hoping and assuming that the bodice fits, which is kind of crazy because there are 10 pattern pieces, a lot of room for error, but I'm just gonna trust and we're gonna just draft up the skirt. In my head, if this doesn't work, the video is cancelled and I'll just wear a backup option. So hopefully it works. What I should do now is do a toile. That would be a very wise thing to do, just to check that all 10 pattern pieces work and that they don't need adjustments. However, I don't have much time, so I'm going to get straight into drafting the skirt pieces. Look, hopefully this works. I have like low expectations. Let's do it. Now, I'm fairly sure that for center front, I don't need to add any flare this way. We're going to keep it straight all the way down for center front and have a little bit of a flare going out on the other side. That's what I'm thinking. So actually what I'll do, I think, is just tape. Yeah, I think I'll just tape this here, because why not? Like this is kind of comical because I don't know what I'm doing. But essentially, just need to add a little bit more volume. This is the waist. We'll keep it thin, just sort of like bring it out a little bit. Listen, maybe I should just not curve that. I think maybe don't curve it. Maybe a little curve just to get over the hip. And then literally just yeet this. I'm not gonna worry too much about the hemline because I can just adjust it at the end, and I'm super, super bad at drafting hemlines for curved skirts. Unless it's a circle, I just don't really get it. So I'm just gonna do a crazy one. And then I just need to make sure that this isn't like a crazy excessive amount of fabric for the hemline. No, okay, that's actually quite helpful, I think. I taped it incorrectly. Oops. I made the center front crazy curved. Can I fix that? It should be like this. Hard for you to see, but this is a nice extra long pattern piece. I'm gonna make them all a nice extra long length so that I can just fix the hem at the end. This looks like it's good. I'm just going to do that for the other 9 pattern pieces, adding this shape at the bottom. Actually, it will be a little bit different, I'll show you. This is my Pattern Making for Fashion Design textbook by Helen Joseph Armstrong. I highly, highly recommend. In the section about gored skirts, it shows the pattern pieces for a gore front and a gore back, and then the gore side. And basically, what I've taken from this information is that the gore back and front is cut on center, on the fold, like the center front is on fold. So this portion here shouldn't flare out, but perhaps the sides, they can flare out, like so. Boom, boom. So all of my other pattern pieces are going to be flared out, except for the front and the back, which are going to have like this straight line. Do you know what I mean? The thing that is a little bit odd about this shape is that I've just completely eyeballed the angle. So it means that in theory, every single section is just going to be like a randomly sized panel, which I don't love. So maybe I will try and like trace this panel. It is a little uneven, I have to say, but at least all of the panels could be the same amount of uneven. I think I'm just going to try and ensure these are like roughly the same length. So that's one. Good, 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 good. Okay, this is good. It's like this. Okay, yeah. All right, I wouldn't want to go much shorter. In fact, I'll probably add a little bit of extra length, just so I've got it. Onwards and upwards. I kind of decided that because I'm basically eyeballing the skirt pattern pieces, then maybe I don't even need to do the pattern pieces. I'm just gonna just straight eyeball it. So I'm just gonna start and I'm gonna just construct the dress pattern piece by pattern piece. I've also, oh, what the heck? I also have reluctantly just realized I definitely don't have enough tulle. But, you know, I'll figure that out tomorrow. I'll just go as far as I can today. Adding a 1/2 inch seam allowance, I am. All right, I just sewed the 2 center fronts together and created a French seam just to get my first piece ready. And now I can continue to construct the dress. I'm going to be sewing wrong sides together. Now this is the wrong side. I always get nervous with French seams. And basically I'm just gonna pin this just because it is a bit of an odd curved seam. Now with the French seam, I'm going to cut my seam allowance down to 1/8 of an inch. This helps the French seam to look really beautiful and to ensure that none of this raw edge is going to be peeking out through the next seam that I sew. I do try and keep these sorts of things neat if the fabric is see-through, because you will see if it's a bit ugly. Now, tulle doesn't really fray, so this isn't really necessary, but the seam finish is just so beautiful. It adds this lovely design detail, so I'm not offended at all. To get the best results for a French seam, I like to press the seam to one side initially. Good, 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 good. Everything is right. And now I'm going to once again press the fabric with that seam lined up right on the edge. It's not a bad idea to practice your French seams with a see-through fabric because it will definitely expose if they're messy. It'll make you neaten up the seam allowances, I'll tell you that much. Now the final step of French seam is to stitch once again at 1/4 of an inch. I forgot to mention that. You stitch it 1/4 of an inch the first time, trim it down to 1/8 of an inch, and you stitch it at 1/4 of an inch the second time. And that perfectly equals a 1/2 inch seam allowance, which is very, very convenient. Sometimes you need to go slowly if you're going around a curve. I really do love the look of a French seam on tulle. It's so very pretty. So that's center front right there. I just need to keep adding these pattern pieces on because the construction is easy. It's really just going to be how the pattern pieces fit together that decides whether this dress actually works. I mean, it looks roughly correct. It's getting smaller at the waist and it's getting wider at the bottom, but you know, I don't really know what I'm doing. All right, just gonna keep adding pattern pieces. So something really, really sad is that I have already sewn the wrong pieces together. They're all perfectly labeled and everything. I think I just snoozed on the job. Don't know if that's gonna be something I can unpick. Hey team, it's the next day. This is how far I've gotten with the piecing of the bodice, or I guess it's just the front of the dress. It's looking really pretty actually. However, I'm at the part of the process where I need to do the sort of sleeve, like armhole section, and I have concerns that because I've added 1/4 inch to every single side of the pattern pieces, that maybe my armhole is going to be a little bit bigger than I thought. I think it's going to sit out wider and just sort of not be perfect. I don't know exactly how to fix that, so what I've decided to do is just try the dolman sleeve, which is found in the reference photo from this beautiful dress by Kamperett. I've got my pattern making book out. I'm curious. I'm just going to see if I can do something similar. It might be weird, but the stakes are pretty low-ish. So in my textbook here, it roughly shows you how to take your bodice block into a kimono sleeve, which is also basically synonymous with the dolman sleeve. That's the basic dolman there. The only difference really seems to be that the dolman has a bit of a slant at the shoulder. So I'm going to try and emulate this with my pattern pieces. Yes, it says that it was developed using the basic kimono. It's a lowered armhole with a satin sleeve. Okay, gorgeous. I think I might just get my ruler. It does seem to be one of those pattern pieces that surely there's like a little bit of wiggle room. It's like a chillaxing shape. So I've taped my 2 side pieces together and then onto this paper, and this is where the armhole would have been. And now I'm just sort of like, just trying to figure it out, you know. All right, let's give her a little slant. How about that? And I'll just sort of even out that curve. Now, it's meant to have a lowered armhole, so maybe I should actually respect that and just, oh, that's quite a lot of extra fabric. How about I just give it a little bit more ease? Oh, that's actually quite curvy in comparison to theirs. All right, let's just like, let's do that. Oh, this is so messy. All right. I don't know why, but I just want to put it a little bit on an angle like that. It just feels right. Okay. I think that's the vibe. And then, now what's really interesting is just trying to divide these 2 pattern pieces so that we have sort of like an even line. I think I just need to disregard what I've done here. Yeah. And just sort of split. Very, very interesting. You'll be in my heart. This is just some straight up improvisation, but basically I'm just gonna do something like this. I mean, low key, yeah. I think it should be more like this, like a little bit, sort of coming in like, whoa. And then just even that line out, like I don't want it so curved. Okay, oh, I'm so scared. No, I'm gonna be so smart right now and just, I don't actually have to, yeah. I can preserve my original pattern pieces potentially, but I have already taped them down extenuously. And then kind of like just do a new shape here, I think. Whoa, okay, kind of scary. Well, I was very responsible and did a little mock-up of just the 4 sleeve pattern pieces. So this is the dolman sleeve. As you can see, it just has that little curve underneath. So we've successfully patterned a dolman sleeve. I would say that this is successful. I'm not certain if it is very cute, is a separate thought. I think perhaps I can just bring this up a little bit, like maybe I'll just trim an inch or so off. It was a very bold cut that I just did, I just want to say that. I think that's probably improved for me. And then in theory, it'll be like, and that. That's actually quite good, I think. It feels very refined of me to do this kind of sleeve. It's very, very like simple. Obviously my fun, playful instinct is to do a big ruffle on the edge, but I also just don't want to make it too costumey or too frivolous, because I want to look pretty, but I don't want to look like the star of the show at someone else's wedding. I think this is a more appropriate sleeve, just because the dress is already so fanciful, you know what I mean? Okay, adjustment time. I do actually think that this is a little bit too low, so I can just take some of that off of each of these sections. I'm just gonna even it out as best I can. That'll do. I took off a little bit of length. There's probably a little bit too much because I do still need to hem the sleeve. So, okay. And I'm just gonna cross my fingers that that works. Okay, it's much later in the day and I have officially finished piecing together all of my pattern pieces, which is fantastic. I've got my front portion of the dress, which is 10 pattern pieces. And then I've got my back pieces. So I've got 5 pattern pieces here, 5 pattern pieces here. And they're not joined yet because I need to figure out what I'm doing for the center back closure. And that is what is coming up now. I basically just need to piece this together. So I think I'm just going to do the side seams with the French seam, shoulder seams with the French seam, and a button and a loop. That's the vibe. Let's do this. I think I'll start at the shoulder seams. And we need to do wrong sides together. That's what a French seam is. Now, I can't really remember the way I patterned this, so it's gonna be really interesting to see if these pieces align. Okay, they kind of do. Oh my goodness. Okay, I'll take it. The pattern pieces are a little bit odd, but what can you expect? Now, all seams should be pressed away from the center. Fabulous. No, don't do that. Thank you. Low-key, I'm just gonna go ahead and sew the side seams down too. If anyone's curious, I don't backstitch when I'm sewing with really, really lightweight tulle like this. I just turn my stitch down to basically nothing, and that is a very, very secure stitch. And it just reduces that bulkiness of backstitching, which can be quite noticeable on tulle or a lightweight fabric, a lightweight sheer fabric. I learned that from someone, but I don't remember who it was, so thank you to that person. There's weirdly a lot of fabric in this. It's just so, so thin that you cannot tell. Wow. Clink. Okay, the dress is starting to look like a dress, which is good. I have sewn up the back center seam up until this point here, and thankfully I can put this dress on over my head, which is awesome. A big part of the reason why this is working for me right now is because this material does have some horizontal stretch. Full disclosure, it is an extremely cheap $3 tulle, stretch tulle from Spotlight. It is cheap. The more you wear it and the closer you look, the cheaper it gets, but it's okay. It's functioning as a wearable toile, which is just totally fine. Notes for self though, as I do plan on making this piece again out of a silk organza, I think absolutely a zip is required, especially if there's just zero stretch to the material. So next time I will try to do a side seam invisible zip. I'm actually just wondering how that even works with this dolman sleeve, but whatever. That's a thought for the future. Maybe even an invisible zipper in the back would be fine, just a zipper somewhere. Anyway, I'm going to finish off the back of this with a little button and a loop, and then I must do things like the collar binding, neckline binding, sleeve hem, and hem. Oh! I bought some horsehair braid for the hem, potentially. I'm actually quite enjoying the way that this material falls. It's very... but I just feel like maybe it might be nice to add a little bit more body to the piece, so I'm curious about this. We'll give it a go. Onwards. Also, high key, the more complex my projects get, sometimes just the worse they're filmed, because I genuinely forget that I'm filming a video because there's just so much brain power being used to process the how of the whole project, you know? This is my center back seam, and what I'm doing to finish it is just tucking underneath the seam allowance. It's a little, you know, hodgepodge, but it works. Basically, I'll just stitch all the way up, and that's what's going to finish the open split at the top of the back of the bodice. Of course, I could leave this raw because it's literally tulle, but whatever. The whole process of this dress has been about beautiful finishes as design features. So we must continue with that energy. Okay, approaching the top. And now I'm able to continue this process. And it's just all beautiful. You feel me? Now I'm going to endeavour to bind the neckline with tulle. I may regret this, but I'm just curious because I think it'll look pretty if it's all the same fabric. I'm also not certain if my button and loop idea is going to work. So there's my tiny little loop, and it's secured just underneath the bias tape. And then I've got my little pearl button. And listen, it's not perfect, but it works for my first go at this. Hopefully, it just doesn't come undone. The thing that I don't love is that it really does just gape. It becomes a keyhole opening at the back rather than what it really should be, which is this. Obviously, I could add a lot of buttons or ties, but I'm just going to leave it as is for my first toile. Because it's fine. Honestly, I think there would be a much more productive way to do toiles for me, which is to just do a first go, which is just fun, fast, and a mishmash of ideas, and don't judge it. Never, ever, ever judge it until it's done. And then think about all the ways I can improve it, and then just let my brain stew on those ideas for a few weeks. Or days, or however long I want. Because usually I just get so perfectionistic in the middle of the process, and I'll think, oh, that's actually not as beautiful as it should be. I'll unpick and try again and again and again and again and again. I mean, that's fine too, but the process is less enjoyable because it's full of critical thinking and judgment. And I'm just realizing now that maybe it would be more enjoyable to just sort of allow myself to actually practice without judgment, especially when I'm doing the first practice run. Because even if you're an incredible sewist, your first practice is very, very unlikely to be perfect. Side note, I am in such deep denial that I have another dress to make to go underneath this dress. We're not talking about it. Making bias tape out of literal tulle feels so illegal, but it looks kind of good, so I'm gonna do it. Okay, we're gonna bind, which way? I want the binding on the wrong side, so I'll flip this out. Yeah, okay. No, wait, what? No, okay, we're good. Wait, what? Yeah. Fold it into the wrong side and stitch it down. Gorgeous, that looks nice, I think. All right, all that remains now is evening out the hem of the skirt and hemming it with my horsehair braid, which I really hope I don't regret doing because I really just don't know how it's going to interact with the fabric. This is how I do all of my hems when I don't pattern my pieces cleverly. I just even it out after the fact. And honestly, it works. I feel like I've got that late night delirious vibe, but it's like not in an entertaining way. I just am a little bit delirious. This feels like an important moment. I wanted to show you the bottom of the hem before I add the horsehair braid, because this is hopefully going to add a little bit of sparkle to the dress in terms of flounce, shape, vibes. I hope it works. I hope it works. Oh, but this is the dress, guys. It's like done. Once again, we're not talking about the fact that I have to do another dress for underneath this. We're not talking about it just yet. This is kind of pretty. I kind of feel like Rapunzel. It's just really feeling like very Rapunzel-y. I have to say, it's really delightful to me, this style of having it fit at the top and then just go out into a much more voluminous skirt. I don't know, it's quite nice. I even think I could have made these panels a little bit bigger. Or even you could add a gore in between every single panel and then you could have heaps of volume in the skirt. There's lots of ideas. Let's add the horsehair braid though. And this is the dress with the horsehair braid. Honestly, I'm not convinced. I kind of liked it just falling straight down. It is sort of nice that it's sort of sitting a little bit more away from the body now. It's got that little flounce, which is kind of cute, but I don't know, I'm kind of undecided. What do you guys think? With or without the horsehair braid? Your opinion matters because I'm going to be remaking this in the next couple of months. I still have to secure it properly. It's only stitched on once at this stage. I just wanted to have a little squeeze before I stitched it down properly, just in case it was super, super ugly, but it's fine. I think the more I look at this piece, the more I feel like it just looks like a shower curtain or something. Like the fabric is a bit cheap, but I'm starting to be mean to myself is what's happening here. I think I'm going to keep the horsehair braid because it kind of makes it look like the petals that are falling off of a flower. Like it just gives it this sort of dainty petal-like movement, which is pretty. I actually just forgot that this is done once I do this next line of stitching, so that's actually really, really good news. Guys, I kind of did good with this. There's not that many edits that I need to make for my next one, to be honest. Kind of good, actually. Okay, time to do the underdress. I'm going to play it really, really safe with this, and basically I'm just going to do sort of like a little bodice with a princess seam that just goes down at the back, and it's just going to have an over-the-shoulder strap and a half circle skirt. Super, super simple. This would be a really, really good time for me to have my overlocker, but honestly, I think I might just leave the edges raw because we're approaching 3 a.m. at this stage and it is the wedding day today. So we just sort of need to get something sorted for underneath. 3 bodice pieces. Oh, this is stretch. That'll be interesting. I don't know why I bought, I think it was just like exactly the right color. So I ignored my better judgment. Well, it's a little late now. Okay, so as long as the stretch doesn't go vertically, which it doesn't, that's good. Okay, and we just need to add a 1/2 inch seam allowance. And I think what I'll do is an outer and an inner. Yeah, I think that's probably the easiest way to go about this construction. Which way does center front? Oh my gosh, center front should be on fold. Fool that I am. I have very, very quickly constructed both of these bodice shells. It's just sort of like this kind of vibe. That's great. Now I'm gonna cut out my skirt pieces and I need straps as well. That's it. That's it. This is so not me. I always iron my fabric before I snip, but today that's not happening, guys. I wonder if I have enough to just do a half circle. It's actually kind of interesting. Yeah, that might actually work. Oh my goodness, this is a crinkly mess. Yeah, I reckon that's actually gonna work. Oh my goodness, this is a little bit of an atrocity, but why has this just broken my brain? No, that should be enough. Okay, this is so bold, because if it's wrong, it's wrong. Okay, that was extremely uneven. Cool. And now we're just going for it. And if I measure it though, then I shouldn't have to. Let's do lots of extra room. Let's do 37 inches all the way around on this crinkly skirt. Okay. Now this is kind of crazy and chaotic, but in my head, what would be great is if I can just pin these right sides together, and I will just use as much skirt as I need to get through the bodice. I don't see there being a problem with this approach, except for it being just like ever so slightly a little bit chaotic, but it's kind of fine, question mark. So literally like that. I don't want to celebrate too soon, guys, because I've still got work to do, but like, it honestly just makes me angry almost how reliable a circle skirt is. Like a quarter, a half, a three-quarter, a full, a double circle skirt, they're all so beautiful. Like this is just the most minimal effort, and I feel like the lines are just so strong. That's on good pattern and good fabrication. It's crazy. I've done no work here. It's not done yet, but like if it can look like this but more finished, perfect. Let's do that and go to sleep. Okay, the sheen of this is really pretty. It's a cotton sateen, also from Spotlight. It's just like, it's actually just quite a nice weight and sheen. Sheen, shine, sheen. You get it. Blah. I'm just gonna do a very simple strap where the edges are folded into the center, just like a bias tape. And then I'm gonna fold it over one more time. Listen, are there better ways to do a strap? Perhaps, but this is going to be a nice sturdy strap. It's going to hold the dress up and it's going to get the job done. It's thin, but you know, not too thin. And now I'm just going to stitch all the way down that to make it into a strap. Okay, so I've got my straps placed and I'm happy with where they are sitting. I really, really hope this is all gonna work. But basically, I'm just gonna sandwich the straps in between this other lining piece. The shell, as some would say. Just gonna line up the seams and literally hope for the best. Hey team, as you can tell, I did finish the dress off camera. I apologise, but I only missed out on a few steps. I ended up going to sleep at about 4 AM and I woke up at 10 AM and I quickly inserted the invisible zipper into the back centre seam and then I hemmed it, and that was all that had to be done. I have to say, the underdress is nothing to write home about. It is nothing but effective. It's not particularly beautiful. It's not particularly designed. It is simply something to make sure that I am clothed, and it is effective because it has this lovely A-line shape, which just sort of helps the skirt to sit really beautifully. So it worked, and I'm happy for that. The overlay is the star of the show, and I'm really pleased with how it turned out. I was not expecting to be able to figure out how to make this, but miraculously, I think this is actually quite similar to the dress that I was inspired by Kamperett. The main adjustment I would want to make is trying to take some of this excess fabric out from the upper bodice. Really, it's just these outside pattern pieces here that create a little bit of excess fabric underneath the arm, just like that. So I think I might just do a few bodice mock-ups without the skirt pieces and see if I can just get the bodice fitting perfectly before I remake it. I'm not sure if I mentioned, but I will be remaking it in a silk organza for my brother's wedding. I can't wait. I'm so excited, but I'm also nervous because it's going to be a lot more expensive than this mock-up. If you're interested in watching me remake it in the silk organza, I'm going to be documenting it and sharing it with my Patreon group called Sparkly Humans, and that video should come out in December sometime, so keep an eye out for that if you're interested. But otherwise, this was a lovely experiment. I think it is so wonderful whenever I get the chance to make something really quickly. I know some of you get a bit stressed out when I have a short time frame to work in, but I actually think it is so freeing. I've become quite perfectionistic with the way that I work with sewing, and having a deadline allows me to just abandon all of my expectations for the project and just sort of dive into it and explore with confidence and gusto. I just turn something off in my brain that judges every single step and just go for it. So it's a really fun experiment, and I love having the opportunity to just give myself permission to just play and get crazy with it. And this project was definitely that. I think it is time to show you the dress. I'm thrilled with how it turned out. I feel incredibly whimsical and beautiful and enchanting in this piece, partly because of the color, which I've never really worn a lavender before. It just makes me feel really sweet. And I think that having this fabrication is also a delight, especially with the horsehair braid as the hem, because it just has this natural buoyancy and lift at the bottom of the garment. It's just a delight to wear, so I hope that you enjoy the montage. Thank you so much for watching this video, and please let me know how you are going and how your projects are going. Leave me a little story in the comment section, because you know I love to know a little bit about your life. If you're still watching, hit that subscribe button, and without further ado, let's go to the montage. Enjoy. Okay, bye!
Having a cup of tea.
Once you get to this part of town, I don't know why, but it just starts smelling really good. Like, they just put some perfume in the vents, and it's just like, whoa. Oh, there's a car. That's the store that I walked through, and then I almost walked into the mirror because it looks like a door. Oh my gosh. This store slaps. I'm going to show you this pair of shoes I wanted for like a year and a half. I'll probably never buy them. It's those like aqua, minty, pearlescent, blue-ish ones. They're like the best shoe I've ever seen, probably. One of the best. They're like, I think they're over $1,000 actually. Across the street is my girl crush store. It's called Lee Matthews. And I literally have such a crush on it. Like, I'm too embarrassed to go in because I'm like nervous that it will think I'm not very cool and stuff. But like, that store is, I would wear everything in that store for the rest of my life, so. Why does it smell so darn good? It's so mean. Like, look at all these brown dresses now. You want to look at the Messina specials? Come on. Have ice cream before 11 a.m. Strawberry and cream gelato with strawberry meringue and strawberry puree. Vanilla custard gelato with dolce. Mango yogurt gelato with caramel. Maple gelato with cookies and dolce. And malt gelato with blondies and pretzels. Yogurt and caramels on the menu. Like a little coffee or anything, do you? I want to show you guys something, which is I just got my samples for my real version of this dress, which is going to be my bridesmaid dress, and it's going to be in brown silk organza. This is like my overthinking brain, but don't ignore these. This is dark chocolate brown, and this is chocolate. But look how similar they look. Or in the comment section which one you prefer. Look at the cake slide. What's up with all these brown dresses? Fills out that volume a little bit underneath, and then